What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nateland podcast. I'm Nate Bargatze, Aaron Weber, Brian Bates. Still introducing. Also, people have our dog. She's under here. Her name's Holly, and you might see her running around. She sits in here for, I don't know, some of the episode, and then she even thinks it's too long, so she leaves. It's one of her comments, and she runs out. But, yeah, thank you guys for coming back. We're getting in a groove. I think we're starting to figure out, what's the system of how we're doing this. I like papers. I love having papers, man. Like this. It's nothing better. It feels like something's accomplished. And we have a good list of stuff to talk about today. I was thinking about starting the show is what we did last week is we want to do the first beginning to kind of comments on some comments that people wrote about the last episode. And so I think we're going to try to keep that going and see how that goes. So if you're listening and you don't want to hear about these comments, then you can fast forward.
But what I find is people realize we may not know what we're talking about a lot of times, and they want us to know it.
Yes. Also, realize like the point of this is we're just looking this stuff up.
Yeah.
And so that's it. I mean, there's not a guy like that's what Rogan's for. Yeah. Go watch Rogan. Exactly. Rogan talks to a professional, and we're just comedians talking about whatever. We try to find topics that are fun to talk about. We like having stuff that you can dive in and get involved and try to be interesting and funny and whatever it is. But yeah, we're shooting from the hip. You know? I mean, a lot of stuff could be completely wrong, and so that's what it is. It's going to be wrong. I don't know. Most things I do is wrong. So, all right, let's get because I think we're gonna have a long one, or we're gonna have today's a good one. So a topic. You should never say that at the beginning, guys. This is going to be a haul. That's you ever hear someone say when they go, it's the worst thing I hate hearing. Comics say it when they say they mention something like I went to the store today, but I'll get to that in a minute, and then they go into something else. You're like, dude, I can't. I'm already regretting. I don't want to hear the story thing. The whole time you're talking, I'm like, God, we still have to wait to hear he went to the store. He hasn't even got into that.
Yeah, I feel that way at church when like the preacher's like, later on we're going to be talking about 2 Thessalonians. You're like, oh boy, I'm already checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I checked out of that comment. I already checked out.
Sorry. I go to church.
Yeah. That's all right.
No, it's good you go to church. So that was like that's just a funny thing to be like. We're just talking about comics. You're like, I know, I hear it. That's like I feel like my mom would be like, I know our pastor the other day said. You're just like, oh yeah, that's right.
This guy can't even relate.
Yeah. Just like an old man. Yeah, I have a hard time getting the ATM in the car, the drive-thru. They don't make it. Anybody else? And you're like, no, I think your arms are getting shorter. So let's go through these comments. So the first one we're going to do Matt Orgen, Orgen. And a lot of people commented this, but The Office took off because the 40-year-old virgin came out between season 1 and 2. Otherwise, it was being considered for cancellation. And that's also why he got in shape, they said.
Yeah, for the movie.
Yeah, so that's good. So that's solved. Mark
there you go. Check that one off.
Yeah. Done.
This is one of my favorites, Sam Wyman. Listen, I love the podcast and could listen to it all day, every day. However, if I continue to hear Brian's nose hairs whistling into the microphone whenever he breathes, I will cut my ears off. And I think that's fair. I like that the guy has narrowed it down to it was you.
Yeah.
That's some detective work.
I just assumed people would blame Aaron for a lot of the heavy breathing. But, I mean, everybody was like...
I did get blamed a couple times in the comments.
I also know, first of all, I want to apologize. There was a lot of comments. If it was just one, you're like, well, that guy's crazy. But when it's like 18, you're like, well, they may be onto something.
Yeah.
So I apologize for that. And I also noticed that whenever it's a nice, fun comment, people like to say, oh, Brad was funny or Matt, whatever I've been called. But when it's this, they're very specific.
They know.
Brian Bates needs to die.
Yeah. At Brian Bates comment. Is it at Brian Bates comment?
Comic.
comic. Yep. So go and follow if you're tired of nose hair whistling.
Cutting your ears off is a little much.
Well,
I'd say you could just stop listening.
I don't know. I'd go with the ears, to be honest, Sam. That's how I want the listeners to be. I want them to either cut their ears off or listen. I don't want you half in. You're either all in. You're either ears are off. I can't listen because both my ears are gone. Or you're a fan and you're listening. That's the way I want it. Brock Sanderson. Gretzky was so dominant that if you took all his goals away, he would still hold the record for most points ever, which is unbelievable. How crazy!
How does that work?
They get points for assists and goals.
Oh, okay.
And something else. I feel like we can't ask questions. Now we're going to have to read comments. So this is a comment for
assist.
The last week of the comment. Like that, we're going to have to keep doing comments. Like, all right, guys. The first 5 minutes is the comments about the other comments that we did, and then the next 20 minutes is about the current episode. Like we're eventually not even going to have an episode.
No.
All right, guys. This first week is about the two previous. It's all just keeps going, never stops.
It's assist.
Okay.
And so he could all his actual goals, and so he could still lead in points, which is
That's insane.
Nuts. Interesting fact: when Pete Weber said, "Who do you think you are?" I am. He has said that he was yelling at a 12-year-old kid that was talking trash to him in the stands. I mean, couldn't get better for that to be the reason.
No.
That's Peter. What made you say that? I'll tell you what made me say that. Stupid kids of this generation. They think they're better than me. Who do they think they are? I am. I mean, that is definitely an old man yelling, talking trash to a kid and doesn't really know what he's saying.
Yeah. What was that kid saying? I would love to hear that.
I don't know.
You know, those aren't arenas that they're doing that in. This is pretty small.
Bowling alleys.
Maybe
Right.
he said, "Who does he think he is?" I am. That's what the kid said. Who does this guy think he is? Because you are or something. It's the opposite. And then he says, "Who do you think you are?" I am. It's such a great line. Another one. Another comment. It's a very funny sports story. She was it a girl? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. So a young lady, she was at youth swim meet, the 4x100 relays, where each member swims a length of the pool. First member of the relay dives in and starts swimming down. This girl, she says, "I'm supposed to go third, but I didn't know someone else comes back. So when the first person touched the wall at the other end, I dove in and started swimming. I crossed my teammate mid-pool and thought, wow, she really screwed up. Great time, but we ended up on the wrong side of the pool." Dude, that's so funny to me.
Yeah.
When I first read that, I read it, so God, I was laughing so hard. It's just, I love it. I love the idea of just, because when you're swimming, you're just oblivious.
Yeah.
You dive in, the person has it's full-on commitment with just all the people watching going, "Why are you doing that?" And you're like, hey, just really getting after it.
Yeah, to pass somebody in the water.
Oh, God. You almost hit each other. Just, what are you doing?
Yeah, those lanes are narrow.
Yeah.
You know?
And just, what are you doing?
You probably can't hear anything when you're swimming like that, right? So you just have
to
no
come
idea.
up, too?
Yeah.
To come up and just be like, just like really like, just, are we good? All right, and you're like, you've lost it. You lost the tournament. That girl at the other end touches and just thinks, the girl at the other end probably touches and, I don't know if everybody's putting it together. You could think someone drifted over into the lane. I bet that happens with like youth swim. Is just someone just is in 4 lanes over, just kind of sideways angle.
Yeah.
You ever go see someone swim in like the YMCA and they just boom. It's like they're just hitting the sides.
Yeah.
They can't stay straight.
Yeah.
I never like if you go swimming. I like swimming and I tried to do it. I don't know. It's a whole thing to go swimming at if you go to the Y or something. You would go in. You gotta change. It's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not gonna ever commit to this to be the exercise you're supposed to do. And when you go and if it's crowded too, I'm out. Like I need maybe one person in the whole pool. in the area. If it's 3, I mean, I'm done. If there's one, because people just get in lanes. People just will get in and be like, oh, okay, I'll swim, and I'll swim this way, and you swim that way, and stay in the same lane. And that's so uncomfortable to me. Like, I think if the lanes are full, I mean, I'm just not swimming.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not going to share a lane. That's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you? Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID's helped out a lot. I love this. There's a lot of stuff I really enjoy. When you go to a restaurant, they can't sit you on top of someone. When you stand in line, there's not just someone on your back.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of bathrooms are blocking out the middle urinal.
Yeah.
It's like, why is that there to begin with?
I mean, COVID's unbelievable. COVID is...
Hopefully it'll never end.
I mean...
Big fan.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot... There's more... I would want to go if they go... There's a lot of... We learned from COVID, wash your hands, like they do all this health stuff, and they go... Then we got Nate. And I want to be like, guys, the social distance thing is not a bad way to live. That's something we should all take away from COVID, is make sure... Stand back from the person ordering. If you're at Starbucks, what do you got to... Are you got to order over that guy's shoulder? No, back up. Just back up. Even if you're healthy, even if you're 2 healthy people, maybe don't just be on top of some. Don't be a backpack to a guy.
Yeah, this works out well for you.
I love it. I mean, dude, sitting at a restaurant is the greatest thing ever. All right, this one I do like just real quickly. Someone said in the 70s, this woman. She said she was a teen mom, killing it. I have a joke about teen moms. They actually do great because I mean, if I was a teen mom, if I was a teen parent right now at 41, my daughter would already be gone.
Yeah,
you're living the life. You know, you hit 35, 40, kids out of the house.
Wow.
I mean, you're in the peak of your life.
Yeah,
been there, done that. She said during her pregnancy, I think she smoked in the gynecologist's office. He said that smoking while pregnant wasn't horrible, and it might just make the baby be smaller. I mean, that's very odd. I mean, can you imagine? That's a doctor, man. Like in the 70s, no one knew. They're like, I don't know. He's gonna weigh $115 instead of $140. Is that too bad? You know what I mean? With obesity rising in this country, you know, more of us should be smoking. More we have.
I think she just meant the baby will be smaller when it's birth.
I think in general, the whole time.
Its whole life, yeah. It's just going to be underweight.
He's skinny. All the skinny people out there, their parents smoked. That's a fact.
Maybe that's why people are fatter now. It's just because less people are smoking during pregnancy. We should try it out.
Solving some stuff here.
This is
if you're pregnant out there,
guys. We need 2 people pregnant. One of you need to commit to smoking cigarettes, and the other one doesn't. So who we got? We got a lot of people for the first one with no smoking, but the second one's pretty tough to find. You'll find someone. This is 100% true. This guy wrote, I was watching the podcast last night and experienced laughter-induced, I don't know, syncope?
Syncope,
Syncope. Is that how you say that?
I don't know.
Oh, got a word that there's gonna be a bunch of words I don't know. Basically, I fainted while laughing. It was when Brian was talking about his running between bases. I was laughing hard. Don't get me wrong, but I've laughed harder and stayed conscious. Going into the doctor tomorrow about it. We'll keep you updated. We just want to hear and make sure that guy's all right.
Yeah.
But that's pretty crazy. He fainted while laughing. Laughter and so I guess it's so hard that it made him faint.
But they wanted to make it clear that it wasn't because the joke was that great.
Yeah,
like, they laughed hard.
Well, I don't know if this guy wanted our opinion on it. I mean, Brian's never had this happen, so this is he has no idea. I mean, obviously, he said people wake up and leave, but never.
Well, I hope he's okay. I hope I didn't kill someone.
I don't know. It'd be good to have in the bio. You go, this guy kills, literally.
You think the doctor's going to make him play the clip? Let's hear what made you laugh.
He just go, and the doctor's like,
I mean,
so far we've promoted COVID, smoking while pregnant, and now dying from laughter. And we're still in the comments.
Still, we made it. We have made it out of the comments. This is all going to be just cut off. I love you guys. This one guy wrote, I love you guys in the podcast. For the love of God, do your research. If it wouldn't be so bad if Nate didn't say it with such confidence. The dude's name is Luka Doncic, and I was saying Doncic, I think. So it's Luka Doncic. So I messed his name up. That gets messed up regularly on television.
Yeah.
And Kobe scored 81, not 82 points. So I was wrong about those.
Thank
By the
you.
way, I'm on the, that is a comment, though, that's 81, 82. He said that as if I said Kobe had 140 points.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, it's 81. Let's relax. It's not that.
It wasn't even that impressive, dude. It was only 81.
yeah.
You said 82.
He said that stuff bugged me much more than it should have. So he does acknowledge that.
He's got a problem. Yeah.
That he's like, yeah, what do you want me to do, man? I was excited. I got excited about it. No, I like it,
I didn't know that about Luka's last name because I've heard it pronounced incorrectly so many times.
Doncic.
Yeah.
Who's there's another sports person's last name that always Giannis
I don't even try that.
Antetokounmpo. His name. You hear him, and it's tough, man. That's a tough one to say. I just always say Giannis, the Greek freak. He's the other one. But all right, yeah. Well, we're gonna have Luke on, and he can help us say the name right. That's all. Luca, could you come on and we just ask him how he says his last name? We're like, all right, Luca, that's enough. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Hey, question for the podcast. Actually, more of a comment. I just wanted to say that I think Brian is very underrated.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
He adds a fun dynamic to the group.
Thank you.
This seems like Brian's handwriting. It reminds me of the way we used to chat with the lunch lady in middle school. Very sweet. Keep it up, guys. I love it because I do think that's a genuine comment. I don't know if I can't tell if they're being funny. I honestly think that's like that's what they think. They think.
What does that mean?
Well, I think you would be older than the lunch lady in middle school, but it's you.
It just means you're kind of sweet and adorable and innocent. And
Yeah.
That's what I think.
The kids, and the kids are like, oh man, she's fun. She's a fun.
I remember my lunch lady. We didn't hang out with her.
Well, I don't think they're hanging out. No one wants to hang out with you. I think they just want to. They will like.
It says
they like
chat,
talking.
not hang out.
Yeah. I don't think.
All right,
I
valid
think
point.
There's not a listener on here that's like, oh, I hope me and Brian get to hang out one day. But I think they enjoy seeing you, and as they get their mashed potatoes, as you throw their mashed potatoes on their tray, I think they enjoy being like, she's fun and nice. And then you're going to end up helping one kid. There's one kid that's like, my lunch lady really broke it to me one day. As you smoke a cigarette in the back. I feel lunch ladies would always smoke. They'd just be...
Inside the cafeteria?
No. I mean, maybe early on they could. But
Out back?
you go out back, doors cracked open. They're always, smoking them.
That's so funny.
Let's move on.
So, what I was curious. Sorry, 24 minutes. I don't know. I'm very curious about this comment because the plan is when we read these comments, I figure it's
We started that clock 4 minutes early.
Oh, okay. So we're at 20.
Yeah.
I figured it's going to be about 20 minutes of, just trying to talk. I like I said, I think people, when they listen to podcasts, people want to say stuff. And so obviously we can't read everything, but it does help. I think it's good to, you guys correct us on stuff. And you have other facts. You have funny stories. So we do want to read some of that stuff. So I think, that's what the podcast should be. We'll do it, first 20, 30 minutes is that, and then we get into the actual episode. And I like telling you that in case you want to fast forward.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm on board with you listen how you want to listen, That's what it is. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to ask a dumb question. Has your internal clock improved since you did comedy? Like you can tell how long you've been... Like, would you have been able to ballpark that, you think?
I probably.
Yeah.
I mean, that first episode, I was like, how long we do? Like, one of them, I was like, it was right at an hour.
Nailed, like the first episode, you nailed it. That's why I was interested.
I can
You
feel
go by
an
the
hour.
sun?
I can tell whether at night. Night's a little tougher, but I can get it within 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
Which Seinfeld Poppy died today. For the Seinfeld fans out there, if everybody remembers Poppy, he passed away. And also the
Harvey Updike,
the guy that poisoned the tree that we just talked about, he passed away.
Two greats.
Two guys ahead of their time.
Poppy and Harvey.
They always come in threes. I don't know who's next.
Yeah, I think we should investigate that tree and see maybe ask that tree some questions. How funny would that be to see someone asking that tree, where were you at the night Harvey died? And just sitting and talking to the tree and just go, where were you at? Oh, I see a leaf falling. You nervous? You feel nervous right now? Feels hot? You a little hot? Yeah, so, and I like telling people they can fast forward. Like, it's all up front. You don't have to listen to this whole thing. Mm-hmm. Do whatever you want. This guy wrote, sports, what's next? Oh, let's discuss marching bands for an hour. This guy sounds like me. That's what I would do. I go from the very exaggerated.
Yeah.
I was just starting to like the podcast, and you guys are yapping about your local sports matches like a bunch of high school jocks. Boring. And then same guy commented under that comment, sorry about that previous comment. Spoke too soon. I really enjoyed this episode. Very interesting and highly amusing. Mr. Brad.
No, he said my Brad. His name was Brad. I think he's being funny. My Brad.
My Brad. I don't know if he might have just messed up.
Maybe.
I'm more offended if he did that as a joke, the my Brad part. So, yeah. That's, you know what? That's the comments that you need, man. I love that. I love that someone... That's what you don't see on the internet, is someone that says something crazy.
Yeah.
Not crazy, but their opinion, whatever.
Right.
And then go, you know what? I was actually wrong. That was actually pretty great.
Yeah.
And then you see that and they respond. That's so good for him, man.
Would you prefer that than just deleting the original comment? I like seeing his growth as a listener, you know?
Yeah, seeing the growth. I'm not against if they deleted it, you know, if they thought it was mean. Sometimes people listen to stuff and they say stuff in... mean ways. So I'm fine with either one.
Yeah.
Whatever they wanted to do. I mean, most people would just write the top one and then leave. Right. Most people don't listen to anything. This will kind of lead into our episode today is going to be about the future. Just the future. There's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen, and I was thinking about it. I've thought about it a lot lately. Like, there's people that want to being famous. I think everybody wants to be. I think everybody wants to be famous. I think that's the problem you have with journalism too now. With journalism, obviously, is something that people get mad at, and I think it's because all these journalists want to be. This is when Holly's getting out now. By the way, if you can look. Yeah. Sorry. Holly's, she's like, oh, here it goes. Holly's actually one of the few listeners that just wants the comments and then doesn't want to hear about the meat and potatoes that we dive into.
Checks out.
So, but like, I think a big problem with journalism is journalists want to be famous, and that's their thing, and that's why they write crazy stuff and they make stuff because they're trying to be famous. It's all about an audience, having an audience, and everybody goes and tries to get this audience, and so everybody, that's a huge problem. And being, to get famous, and I'm not talking about any now and currently, but think about the old days of becoming famous. The old days of if you're Tony Bennett, you had to go earn all of that. Like being a celebrity in that, it was a very earned kind of thing. That guy was just around, and then you just see him everywhere. He has to put all this work out. It's all this crazy amount of stuff. And I mean, there's people that won't know Tony Bennett, but they would know, someone on TikTok or know someone on Instagram or like all this stuff that now they don't have to create. We're talking about that Rex Chapman, the guy on Twitter. He's a former Kentucky basketball player, right?
If that's the same guy.
I'm pretty sure it is. So he just retweets videos that other people make.
He's a curator.
Yeah.
Right?
So, like, that's a thing, though. Mm-hmm. That guy has all these followers and this, whatever, makes money off of this stuff and it's created nothing. Absolutely nothing. He's just someone that I can go find the best stuff and I put it together, and now you just have to follow me and don't worry about it. And it's a very weird thing to me because I think we lose sight of people that are actually creating something. Guys that there's if you like art it's anything, comedy to music. Whatever. You want the creating stuff. I think music probably had. I'm not the best music person, but music seems like they can just kind of grab someone and throw them up there. Like, it doesn't really matter. I don't think some of them seems like maybe they don't have to sing good. If they're cute or handsome, they can go, and we're like, we can make whatever out of it. We have plenty of people. We have a machine that can throw you out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know essentially if that's the problem. I think the internet is the social media. It's people being famous.
Yeah. People
wanting to be famous. And everybody has an audience. Everybody talks as if they have an audience. I was trying to write, if this ever becomes a joke. I was trying to see if this becomes a joke. I don't think it can now. It's very hard. But that idea that social media, I think we end up talking to people. Like we're talking to nobody. When you're even at our homes, you have Alexa. You just go, hey, Alexa, text my mom. I mean, you're talking like a king. And you're just but that mentality, you start doing that everywhere. You're driving, text back, no. And then you end up, it's a weird that you're kind of just shouting out demands and something's doing these demands.
Right.
So that mentality for some people just loses touch with reality. And that's where people, when they post stuff and they have, they're just post their comment, their opinion on something. Mm-hmm. It's like, who are you making this opinion to? No one's like, if you have 2 views, then you should know that you have 2 views. Right. You shouldn't think, people think they have 100 views or 10 views on something, and they're like, I gotta go. People want to know what I'm up to. Yeah. I see people doing Facebook Live videos, and it's 3 people are watching. Just turn it off, man. Just get out of the way. You're in the way. You're all that is, we're all and that person thinks they're famous. Mm-hmm. They think, why are you talking to 3 people? What? Who? Your mom? Maybe? I don't know.
I do that.
You talk to 3 people?
I don't think I'm famous, but there's some that didn't get a lot of viewers.
I understand putting it out. See, it's just everybody can put everything out now. So anybody can try anything. If someone wants to be a comedian, they can go put out videos and start becoming a comedian. Mm-hmm. I get very sensitive about that kind of stuff as a comedian, but I don't like, because people get to dive in. Everybody gets to be like, I'm a comedian. Creating an hour worth of material is extremely hard. There's the comics that do it. It's unbelievably hard. I don't think how many times you got to do it over, and how many times you got to say it over, and how many times you got to make it so by the time when you shoot a special, it's this kind of perfect thing. It's extremely hard to do, and it just takes a long time to do it. Now, there's a lot of tricks you can do where you don't have to do that, and you don't have to create this. So, the true art of a lot of things is kind of possibly going away. I mean, music, it used to be about the whole album, and now it's just singles, right? You can have just a single. You don't need to even have a good album. It doesn't really matter. Not saying people don't do that, but isn't the whole idea of CDs used to, there was artwork and there was the way they did stuff, and the whole album was a thing that you presented. Right. It wasn't just hey, throw 500 songs against the wall, 4 of them work, and you're like, well, now you're a billionaire and you're the most famous person ever. And with comedy, I think it was, Richard Pryor was on the other day. I saw it on Showtime or something, live stream. And I said I even know a ton about, I know Richard Pryor, obviously being a comedian, but I didn't listen to him. But I was just, I don't know, I was watching him, and he's just so personal, and him talking about his, just the way he's, I don't know, we got the fire, when that one, Live at the Censor, he talks about that. It's extremely personal on stage. I mean, it's that's what comedy was. It was telling stories, it was being personal, being funny, and not even tell stories, but just being funny and giving an hour show is what it was. And sometimes that goes away, and I think it goes away with everything. I think we have too many... with social media, you have too many people that think they have an audience and think that people want to hear them, and they just kind of throw everything out, and that bleeds in to everything. Everything we see with journalism, it's hard to get to where you can't really trust anybody, because you can't. People I was reading articles. People ask for sources. This is what we talked about yesterday. they're just asked for sources. Some guy will write an article at Washington Post or something or whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to if someone's like, well, they lie. It doesn't even matter. Wherever you're reading, that's not what it's about. But it's about the first comment that's what's your sources? Asking a newspaper that. And I know that it's like, yes, you do need sources, but that seems kind of insane to me. Like, it's just a guy. You're a guy with 10 people following you on Twitter, and you get to ask, what's your sources? So that guy now thinks, well, I'm the guy that asks sources. I make sure. And you want to go, man, the sources might be in the article. I don't think you're reading the article. No one's honest with it if they don't read something. Just be honest. Just go, you know what? I didn't read it. I read just the headlines.
Right.
My entire emotion with everything is headlines. Mm-hmm. That's all I care about.
And I shared it. Only reading the headline.
Only reading the headline. Just you know what? We can learn from that last guy, Brad. Be that. If you want to say something crazy, then come back and either say, I was right, I think you've made a mistake, or come back and say, I was wrong, this was actually kind of interesting. Do that.
Yeah.
So you can't just ask everybody, I mean, journalists, I think, do stuff wrong too, but I think comments too. Like, that's crazy to me. Read the article.
Yeah.
Go find the sources if you want to find them. Like, I think they also should put sources. And I think, they usually do. But there's something with the idea that everybody, I don't know, when you used to hear the news growing up, you just had to take it is what it was. It was like it was on TV. You listened to them, and that's the news you got.
Yeah.
It wasn't all these people diving in, not to be on some big long rant. That's what I'm trying to do. The idea of the joke, the Alexa thing is just so you guys can know. I don't think this will be my new hour. Maybe, because I might not do it comedy again for 4 years. But I love the idea of talking. People, I think it goes to because you're just talking to, like you're a king.
Yeah. Right.
You just can put out people on social media just like, what's your favorite Lady Gaga songs? Go. You just tell them. Who are you telling to go?
Yeah.
And then there's people like, let me go. Like, just a regular person says that. Got to go to the store. What kind of bread do you guys like? Go. And then just like you think you're owed a response.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you say your favorite is when no one gives them an answer?
Seeing no one, when someone asks for something on the internet like that, and then no one responds, it's one of my favorite things. Just remarkable to just see it, to be like, favorite diet sodas, go. And then not a view. That guy just, and so like if he gets no comments, you're like, how many of these have you put out?
Yeah.
And nobody responded. Nobody, You know what, too? That being said, when I said everybody is trying to be famous, we're also in a world where everybody can become famous very quickly. And, it is true with social media. I mean, the way people that cancel idea where they cancel everybody and people get fired, it's just regular people getting fired. Like, for saying something like that. So in a world, everybody's got to be careful. It's a very tricky balance right now. So one thing we talked about with being like the way the future is going to be, like, obviously you got to work with social media, and I think social media is bad. Like,
awful.
It's awful. It's going to be the problem. But, more people work from home now with COVID. I mean, are you going to the office at all? Is there any reason to go to the office? I mean, I know people, some of my neighbors that all have jobs. Obviously we don't have jobs. None of us have real jobs. But the ones that have real jobs, I mean, they haven't missed a beat. Most of them can work from home just as easy. And I don't think they're ever going, why are they going to go back? Why would you even open that back up? Like, it's really showing people that you're like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. You said before this one, just 4% of Americans work from home. And once the pandemic kicked in, an MIT study, this is the source, found that 34% of Americans were working from home. Here's another thing with these we're going to have a lot of those facts, and I like that data. But it is like, from an MIT study. What study? Who are you?
Yeah, who at MIT?
Who at MIT? And who are you asking? to say 34% of America works from home. How are you leaving America? Are you asking people across America?
It's a sample size.
That's what it is. All that stuff is just they ask.
So they ask like 1,000 people, then extrapolate.
Yeah.
After that, so
So like,
I think that is. I mean, I'm probably contradicting everything I said before, but
who are your sources?
Nate like to see the sources.
Brian Bates, I'd like to see the sources on this if you don't mind. No, I don't see the sources. I think I like sources. I started thinking too about like Dad. There's a lot of stuff. I'm just asking a lot of questions about a lot of stuff.
Hey,
I think it's crazy for people to ask for sources. They're just regular people. I think people should ask for sources, but I think there should be a chain of command. That's what I mean. Okay. I think it can't be just like a homeless person yelling from the street, "Where's your sources?" Like, there's got to be some structure.
Yeah.
And so with social media, there is no structure, and there should be some kind of balance. And just there's no balance in a lot of ways.
With social media, there's a direct line from that homeless person to the president.
Which is insane.
Crazy. Like, who should that guy go to?
The homeless person?
The guy who just got a house?
Who should he? Yes, the chain of command.
A first-time homeowner.
Yeah,
first-time homeowner. Yeah, goes into
who has Wi-Fi.
He tweets at his parents.
Yeah,
and then his parents tweet at
his parents know a guy,
one of the assistants at the newspaper.
Yeah.
The stats though on it. We're about to read a bunch of stats and stuff, but it is very. I always think it's very funny to be like. Polling, like you're just like, or anything, you're like, I don't know how you could figure that out. If they say and I don't know, 50% of this is happening now. There's a trend that's going now that 80%. You're like, dude, how on earth do you know?
You ever take any of those polls?
No.
Get a random phone call.
Yeah.
You take
I've done them since the pandemic, and they'll pay you $10.
Yeah,
and I'm like, hell,
oh, you do?
Yeah. I mean, not like all the time, but I've gotten some polls.
Oh, really?
They'll email me like a Harvard study and. You answer it, and then they'll send you a $10 gift card, which is the most money I've made during the pandemic. So I'm like, by all means.
Have you done one?
I've done focus groups for money, but I've never done surveys like that.
Like what is that?
Like I signed up for the service where they like we want to talk to males 18 to 24 who use chewing tobacco, and then you just go in a room and sit, and they just ask you about. Your habits and stuff.
Yeah.
Just to learn. What? I did when I was 18 to 24.
I feel, do you think the people that can do polls represent America? I mean, honestly, like you're a comic. That doesn't work.
Right.
You have no
It depends on what the poll is. If they ask me a poll about jobs, but...
Yeah, but I mean, it's just interesting, like the person that can go do these polls, that wants to go do it, I don't think it's a person that has 3 kids and they're working 2 jobs.
Right.
Those people are not.
So they're not representative of.
It's representative of like
people who have time,
just got married.
Yeah,
people that have time on hands that doesn't have anything going on. That has time to think about this stuff.
Uh-huh.
So like, I would argue that it doesn't represent America at all. Like, because most people that have kids are going to be too busy. They can't. They don't have time to. Go do this stuff, huh?
I'll take a survey from a car
dealership. I have nothing but
the
time.
According to MIT, 34% of people are working from home, so they got time now, right?
Yeah, but they do have time now, so maybe we're getting some real good polls. All right, well, I didn't know you did that, so I'm glad to know someone that did it.
I may do one right now.
Do one during the podcast
to be
How long do they take? The forms usually just a few minutes.
Well, when you don't read the questions and just want $10, they go pretty fast.
See, there's another reason.
This is another problem, dude. I mean, this is everybody's sitting there.
See.
Yeah. And then that is what's crazy, though. Then that gets put out
right
on everything. On the news. 34% of Americans are working from home. Are you kidding me? And then it's a legit argument point, and you trace it back. This is the main thing that I'm talking about, that I don't think people think about, is you then trace it back to you at midnight going, whatever. And you're like, well, how many people are doing what you're doing for $10? You know what I mean? That's honestly what I'm talking about. Like, I just don't, I don't trust anybody. I don't trust that anything's done in some certain way. And it could go down. But I mean, look.
You don't care
like
that
stats.
MIT endorsed the study? That doesn't mean anything to you?
I mean,
if
I
it said
think
Vol
it's the
State
same
study,
thing.
would you feel differently about it?
I think Vol State would go earn it more. I think Vol State would, we'd be like,
They'd come to your house.
Here at Vol State, we would be like, you know what? I can't even believe they're asking us to do this. And we can't blow this. We're tired of being a community college. We'd like to be a full-on college. And we think this is the window to get in that. And I think we would take it serious. And I would go help. Everybody would go help, and we would all drive to your houses. And we have the people that have the time.
Right.
The people that go to a community college, all in their 40s, all kids are gone, all teen moms, and this is the stuff they love, man. They love it. A community college would be perfect. Actually, that would be a community college would be, because it's going to be a lot of people in their 40s.
Yeah.
And it's going to be people that want to
prove something. They got something to prove.
Yeah, and that one, like if you got my mom to go get questions from polls, my mom loves that.
Yeah,
she would love it. I think you would love it.
I mean, I think Vol State would be like, look, we can't give you anything, but we'll come to your house and clean your house for you.
You're saying if MIT botches a study, no one's going to think MIT's a bad school now. It's like they've got enough name recognition. But if Vol State got a call from, I don't know, science and said, you got to do this study, they'd be like, well, this is everything.
They go, wow.
This is everything.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they would be like, how are we going to put it so you don't have to go Vol State Community College study? But I mean, that's, an MIT study. It's just that we always say that Harvard study, MIT study, I had my joke, or I have a joke about science being like, they say cockroaches are 300 million years old. It's like, how do they, no one knows. And that's kind of the point that it's, with all this stuff is, I tend to think that in everything we do, in any job, you're going to have a moment of whatever your task is where you kind of was like, whatever, that's fine. Just send it along. So I think that could happen with everything. That happens in science. When science is doing something, I'm sure there's a moment where the person's like, I got to go, and then they, where they almost got it narrowed down enough that then they go, it's 320 million. Like they had it narrowed down to maybe 1 million to 100 million.
Yeah.
And they're like 320. Like
that's why Vol State would be the best, because they don't have to go anywhere. No kids,
wide
soccer.
open.
They're like, hey, I'll finish this. MIT, they got things to do.
MIT, they're trying to do better things. Vol State is just trying to get in the game. They're lucky to be there. They should do. I want all community college studies from now on. The other thing we talk about, will Americans leave large cities for suburban rural towns? Americans are moving a lot to relocate to more sparsely populated areas. The trend has been accelerated by technology and shifting attitudes that make it easier to work from home. Residents of all ages and incomes are moving in record numbers to small towns. That's what I think is going to happen. I moved. It was when I left, I lived in Chicago for 2 years, New York for 9, LA for 2 years, and then I moved back home. I loved all my moves. I loved all the moving. New York, when I started coming to Chicago, it was amazing. A lot of great comics. I mean, I was there with Hannibal, Pete Holmes. And then I moved to New York. I started Pete Holmes. Have you ever seen Crashing, his show on HBO? That's exactly how I started. I barked with Pete at that club. He's the one that got me barking. Hanging out flyers at the comedy club is barking. And becoming a comic in New York has completely made me the comic who I am today. I mean, I think the best comics are in New York City, hands down. The greatest come out of there. The guys that you wouldn't even know are better than everybody else. It's top to bottom. There's no one better than the comics in New York. And I consider myself a New York comic. I was there the most. That's where I kind of learned how to do comedy. And so that helped. And then I moved to LA, which just a little side note. This is the advice for when I moved to LA to tell. It's great advice. Jerry Weintraub, he was I want to say he was Elvis's manager. He's a big producer, produces all the Ocean's 11, 12 movies and all this crazy stuff. Big Hollywood guy, I think died a few years ago. But I was reading his book, and his book, he said he was living in New York and moved to L.A. Being an agent or something. And he said, anytime I started feeling comfortable, I knew it was time to make a change. Anytime I started feeling comfortable, I knew it was time to make a change. And so if anybody's at home and you listen to this for a little, I moved to LA because I read that. I was comfortable in New York. I was there for almost 9 years. I was getting on stage every night. And I knew that if I needed to put myself in a situation I wasn't comfortable in, that's going to make me work harder. And when I moved to LA, I was, I remember one night in LA, I was supposed to open for Burr at somewhere, and then Burr had to cancel. And so then I didn't have a show. And it was like a Friday night, and I had no show. And I went to an open mic. And I just remember I was like, at that point I had a Comedy Central Presents. I had some TV credits. And I was like, I have no show. And I'm at an open mic 10 years into my career, or whatever it is. Wow. And so I was like, all right, this is uncomfortable. And then it made me go and, and just start working more. And so if you ever need advice, you're ever stuck, and that's something that I think you take in every regular day, any job you have at all. If you realize, you know what, I'm super comfortable, it's time to make a change. You need to challenge yourself. If you're trying to grow, also you could be just wanting to live comfortably. Yeah. And then stay in it. If you have a good thing going.
How do you know when you've got to the point where it's just, okay, this is where I want to be? Like, do you see
am I happy?
Happening again?
I see it happening again. I know where I still want to be. Yeah. I know where I still want to go for. I know what I still want to go do. I think about that a lot. When will I know? I think you just know. I think you go, I'm good. It's not like it's a certain amount of money. It's not like there's this thing. It's career wise. I know what I want. I know what I'm planning, and I think of it like that. And I think I will. I don't think I'll ever stop doing stand up. I bet I could take some long breaks, but I could see. I think these next 10 years, I'm going to be just going after it. Like just, once we get going and just trying to do as much as I can. But I think I'm hoping to get to a point, and I think I'll feel it. I think you just get to and be like, I feel good. I think it's when you don't feel like you're not trying to compete with anybody, I think. Like you get to think with Seinfeld. Seinfeld's not worried about him not being Seinfeld. He's Seinfeld. Seinfeld can always walk in a room and you know who he is, and he can get on stage wherever he wants. He can walk in any comedy club in America and go, can I go on? And they're going to go, okay. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially, in my head, the goal as a comedian is I want to be able to walk into any club, and then they're like, can I go on? They're like, absolutely. We're happy to have you. Right. Like that's what I want to happen. So it's like, I think if you get to that point, then you can maybe sit and you're not as pant. You're not like, I got to keep doing something. I got to try to strive and get to this next level. And you start like losing that. I think when you stop feeling that, then that's, when you know. Mm-hmm. But I don't think with comedy, I don't think I'll ever stop doing stand up.
How did you know though, when it was time to move from LA to Nashville?
That was LA to Nashville I was starting to tour a lot. I wasn't in Los Angeles. And I do always think it was one of the, first unselfish things I did for my family. It was to move back to Nashville. Me moving, I've been with my wife before I started comedy. So when we got married, I moved to Chicago, and we were long distance, New York, long distance, and we got married. She moved to New York. And then we had Harper was born at the end of New York, and then we moved to LA. And so moving home was the first thing that was like, oh, let me do something, not saying I'm essentially doing it completely for them, but it was like that was an aspect of it. I was starting to tour a lot. She can be home and have her family's near here, my family's here, so they're not alone. I'm not just leaving them alone in Los Angeles. Yeah. And that's essentially what the thing was. But when I moved back here, I didn't tell anybody because I thought people would think I quit comedy if I moved back to Nashville. So when I first moved back, I didn't tell anybody. Rory Scovel, whose birthday is maybe August 6th, which I don't know if the day this comes out or not, or the day after. But so happy birthday, Rory. But Rory, I I told him once I was thinking about moving, and I was like, I don't know if I would tell anybody. He's like, if you ever move, don't tell me. Let me see if I can guess. And so I moved. I was living in Nashville for 3 months. He comes to Nashville. I was like, hey, I'm in town too. I was like, I'll come pick you up and we'll go eat. And I went and picked him up and just drove him to my house. And I was like, I've been here for 3 months. And he had no idea. And because I realized you could move. I mean, there's people that still think I live in New York. And there's people that I just got an email. Someone asked me to do something because they think I live in L.A.
Right.
And they still think I live there. So no one knows where you live anymore. And I learned as a comic, me doing auditions, I could do them from home. I don't ever get in these auditions anyway. So I realized that wasn't going to be my thing. I wasn't going to be an actor that auditions for a bunch of things. So I realized that. I think if you're trying to audition for a bunch of movies and TV shows and you actively need to do it, if I audition for something, it's because that person is like, oh, I've seen this guy, or, it's like they're asking for me. Like it's like I'm not just going like random part. Like I did some of that and it was terrible. One of them I did. The funny story, I remember me and Dan Soder, he was in LA. I'm driving to this, it was like for a commercial. And I think I'm driving because Dan was in town visiting in LA. And so he's going to a meeting and I'm going to this audition. So he's going to drop me off and come back and get me. So we're reading the lines and it's like, I'm doing the lines and, I'm like, all right, I got it. And we go in and we start doing they printed a bio out that I made on a website. I mean, like 2008 or something. Like It was like from old MySpace. I don't know how they got the bio. And they start reading it. And I mean, the bio is just embarrassing. It's just, and it also lists like the things that I can do, my talents. And it was about being a stand-up. I can do a Southern accent. And by the way, I can only do a Southern accent. I also can't not do this Southern accent. So I do a Southern accent. And it said, what skills do you have? I said, I can run, I can walk, I can play basketball. They were just the most basic, like any chance you're looking for a guy that can do a light jog with a Southern accent.
With a Southern accent, yeah.
Can he not do the Southern accent? No. He can. You're either getting the Southern accent or you're not getting it. And I did the lines and I couldn't remember them, and it was so embarrassing. And when I got done, I finally made it through, and they clapped for me. This is just a room of two other people. That's not typical
for an audition.
A sarcastic clap?
No. It was they were like, good for you, man. You did it. And then I go, thank you. And they go, I mean, they're never going to call me. They were like, well, that guy worked through that, and they were happy for me. It wasn't good. Yeah, it's not being mean. It's like they think something's wrong with you, and they're being like, hey, you did good. That's how
keep your chin up, dude. You got this, man.
You're going to be a big star one day. Thank you. So so I moved back here. I've been here for 5 years or something. And so I didn't tell anybody. And now I don't care. Now people know. And I've talked about it. And it's been the best thing ever. I don't think I've missed anything. I do wonder sometimes, all right, I'm not in LA, I'm not at the comedy clubs, I'm not doing whatever, that kind of thing. But where I'm at in my career, I kind of did all that stuff. I did all that stuff in New York. So it's good for me to go back when I can, and I can bounce around and do some shows and all that kind of stuff. But I create much better on the road. Like doing an hour is a lot better for me now. Creating stuff, so that aspect of it, I would rather do a longer set now. I don't really go do a ton of sets around Nashville because that desire is not as much. I get way more out of doing a full-on set, like to do an hour-long set.
Yeah.
So I like doing that a lot more. But I think more people should move. I mean, I told a bunch of comics, I was like, I think y'all should move to Nashville. We could build a nice scene here. I mean, there's already a great scene here, and then just keep it going. I mean, I don't know why people. It's so expensive. New York is getting insane to live in the city. I mean, I think it was like $3,000 a month for a studio or something.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, you can maybe get a room for cheaper than that. But I mean, who's going to want to live like that? I mean, especially now, if you're we have a neighborhood, and my kids, or I have one kid, but my daughter and her, they run around in between neighbors' houses. Like it's like how we grew up.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to find that kind of aspect. I also liked it as a comedy aspect of it too, to take myself out of the same situations for just coming up with your act, coming up with jokes. I think if you're all living the same experience as comics, you're all going to talk about the same things. And so if you get you need to kind of get away from it. Chad Daniels is someone else that's always lived in another place. And Chad is super funny. And Chad is someone that everything's a little different. Everything's a little, and I think it's honestly that a big part that plays into it is we're not at, every joke's not about auditioning, or it's not about, something that, in New York is always about subways. Yeah, everybody had it because you're all doing those things. Or they're very New York centric jokes. And so sometimes you're like, yeah, you got to grow with your audience. You got to grow as a stand up, being married, have a kid. You got to move. Before I wasn't married, then I get married, and then you have a kid, and your life becomes your act and whatever scenario you're in, and you got to keep going forward with it. So it's, I'm now living at least the most normal life I can live as a comedian is living in where I drive, I go to the store like all of America.
Yeah.
All of America drives to the store except New York, right, and maybe parts of LA. Basically, maybe some of the city, and maybe most of the city. It's all of it, except in Alaska and most of America. But it's all. I mean, I think people are going to move to, I'm curious to be in 40 years. I mean, are the downtowns? Is New York even? Is it a ghost town? Could it ever get to that point? Are they going to price everybody out? Where I mean, to live in New York, you would have to, if you make $1 million a year, you can afford to live in New York, but you need to be single if you're going to have a good time, and you're still not rich.
Yeah. Whenever I hear numbers like $3,000 a month for rent, in my head, I'm like, oh, well, but they get paid more up there. That's how I rationalize it in my head, but not that much more.
They do get paid more. I think my wife, when we lived in New York, the job she got paid more just by moving to New York. Yeah. But when we lived in California, when she worked at her job, she gained, just leaving the state taxes from her job, moving from California. Her job was always wonderful. The people that worked there were great, and they were very nice to her, and they let her when we moved when we moved to LA, they let her work in the LA office, and then we moved to Nashville, they let her work from home. They were always very, very nice because, I mean, she doesn't work there now. She's the executive producer on this podcast, but she does. But when she did all that stuff, that was, I mean, that's how, if you're married to comic, that's how insurance, all that, we get everything. And so when she moved here and worked from home in Nashville, she made like $400 to $500 a month more just moving to Nashville. Same job. Because of state income tax.
Wow.
Because there's none in Nashville, in Tennessee, and it's in California. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's pretty crazy. $500, roughly $6 grand extra a year just by doing your job in Tennessee. Wow. So imagine companies that are actually millions of dollars or something. Like that could be $1 million. Like just which is when companies are moving out of.
You think that would be more of an incentive for professional athletes to play in states like Tennessee and Texas?
Well, that's why a lot of them, they think, go to Miami. That's why the Miami Heat was a big place.
Does Florida not have a state income tax?
They said that's Bryce Harper was a big reason he didn't go to the Dodgers is because, I don't know for sure, but it was the state income tax. Because, I mean, his contract's going to be $400 million, and he's going to be given all this money back.
I think you file taxes in whatever state the game is played, but if you're in the Dodgers, then half your games are for sure in California. Yeah.
I think that's a big reason that people do it, and so I think people are going to start. I mean, it's happening now, and so are they going to be? Are these cities? It'll be very interesting. And I'm not trashing these cities.
I am.
I love. Well, Aaron is different. I love New York. I love all these LA. I mean, yeah, I love them, dude. All my friends live there. I mean, they're awesome cities, but obviously, it's how expensive these places are.
Yeah.
And then, Nashville is amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. When I first moved here, I thought, well, if I have to move back, and then now after being here, I was like, yeah, I'll never not live here. Like I'll have if you get to be super famous or something, you get a house here, you get one somewhere else, who knows? But I'm never going to not live here. I want my daughter to be raised here. I grew up here, so it helps. But no one's from here anymore.
Yeah.
That's, me and Bates. We're it.
Do you consider yourself from here?
I do. I moved here when I was a junior in high school, and I've been here ever since. That was, 12 years ago, which is longer than most people have been here now.
Yeah.
And
how old were you? You were probably 12.
I was 16. 16 when I moved here. So those are formative years. You know, I became an adult here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not many people claim Montgomery, Alabama, where I'm from. So
yeah,
a little bit of both.
Yeah, you're unusual because most people just moved here like a couple of years ago for a job.
Yeah.
Or grew up here like us all our life, but you kind of came, would you say your junior year in high school?
Yeah, junior year in high school. And it was just when I moved, everyone was talking about, this city's it's starting to really pop.
I feel like you just asked him the same questions that he just said.
Oh, I don't.
When I was watching
anything Aaron said.
I know, but I was watching you say it in your the questions. I swear to you, you just asked him. He just stated all that stuff. He goes, I moved here when I was 12 years old, and I'm 16 in 400 years, and I came Montgomery, Alabama. And then you go, so you moved here when? You were, what'd you say? You go, when I was 16, you go, about 12 years. So you just asked him the question. I just was very funny to watch.
He's giving me a chance to say it a little more clearly and succinctly, I think.
Clarify what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
And you came here because your dad was a principal?
That's right, yeah.
And they made
That's
Netflix.
episode 1 of the documentary.
I can see that you were doing that.
Uh-huh.
Which is good because I think a lot of people were like, oh, what did Aaron say? And then you gave me that. But I was just watching it going, you're like interviewing him the same question. You're like, so you moved here. You're a little different though. You moved here. When did you move? Junior? 16?
You're Kramer and I'm Newman.
Yeah. Next fun. Hour and a half. 68. So I was guessing an hour. I was off. This one's going to be. I wonder if people are going to. We're still going, guys.
Yeah.
We're not even close. Hang on. This is one people are going to have to fast forward, and I get it. Jump around. A little more fun topic, I think maybe. Will we have self-driving cars? Researchers forecast that by 2025 we'll see approximately 8 million autonomous or semi-autonomous vehicles on the road. Elon Musk said on July 5th that Tesla is very close to achieving driving technology capable of navigating roads without any driver input. I remain confident that we will have the basic functionality for level 5 autonomy complete, blah, blah, blah. Just the future. Yada, yada, yada. Fully self-driving vehicles.
I put autonomous in there on purpose. I was like, there's no way he's going to be able to say this.
Autonomous. Yeah. No, I said autonomous.
Blew me away.
Stayed up all
I'm
last
excited
night.
about that. Self-driving cars. I can't think of an invention that will change my life and American life more than that.
Than self-driving cars.
Yeah, because I looked it up last night. The average daily commute for Americans, pre-pandemic, obviously, is an hour. That's an hour a day that the average person, they have now. Now they have an hour where they don't have to focus. They can, what do you do with that time?
Well, we just covered. They're not even going to be going to work anymore.
You drive.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. But it's gonna change all the stuff we've talked about. Living outside of the city.
Yeah.
Why would you live in the city if
almost any city?
If you could, a car will take you there.
Nashville's bad. Nashville's traffic's getting bad.
It is bad.
But they, so it's in LA. Traffic's insanity, dude. Like I remember driving in New York. You just don't drive, but I remember driving through, going to road gigs, New Jersey or something.
Yeah.
You'd always have to go through the city. You needed to be through the city by 2. And you'd always see that number go. You'd see that number. It used to be like, just get through the city. I remember. I lived in New York. You could park in Times Square. Wow. You drive to Caroline's on Broadway, which is right at Times Square now. You can't even drive there now, and you could park in front of the comedy club. Yeah. And that was 2008, 7, stuff like that. But you'd have to go to the city. You need to be through about 2:30 or something. And now, I don't know if there is a time, but it might be one. You might have a window of 11. 11 a.m. I feel like that's you almost have to go at 11 a.m. anywhere because then people are leaving for lunches now. Lunch becomes a thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, traffic becomes everywhere in California. Traffic's nuts. It's nuts. People are in the cars for 2-3 hours.
Everybody's in self-driving cars. That's going to cut down traffic dramatically because there's no human error.
50 million of them on the interstate in California, that's a problem.
Yeah, but if they're all driving in the most efficient way possible,
but it's still going to be longer. It's you know what I mean.
Yeah, but who cares how long it is? You're not sitting there focusing. What would prevent you from living 2 hours outside of the city? And then the cars take you there at 4 a.m.
It's still 2 hours of your time.
Yeah, but time you can do anything with. You
I know,
sleep,
but but you still could be like, well, I want to be home. I don't want to. You're spending 2 hours away from your family. Look, people like that.
Yeah,
I get it. People need breaks, from our own families. You enjoy. I've definitely driven before where it's you want, you're just happy to be alone. Where did we drive one gig? St. Louis. Remember I rented a car? Mm-hmm. And that was, I wanted to get away from who. And they just go. But I drove that one. I wanted to drive home by myself. I needed I was busy on the road. It wasn't like I needed a break from anybody. I just wanted to be alone.
Yeah.
And it was a 4-hour drive, and I was like, awesome. I'll just get to drive and be by myself. And, it's sometimes you need that stuff. So, yes, but you still don't want to spend, I don't think you want to spend 2 hours in a car, even if it's self-driving.
Yeah.
After 6 months, you're going to be like, all right, I get it.
If I feel like if every car is self-driving, autonomous, they can all go way faster too. Mm-hmm. Because the speed limit's only there because at a certain point it becomes dangerous for a human to control it. But if it's automatic, what's to stop them from going 150, 200 miles an hour?
You're going to be comfortable with that?
These cars, they can get comfortable. Yeah, you're laying down, take a nap, just cruising, dude.
But I think if you have a million cars getting on the interstate, even if they're self-driving, it's going to be slow.
But if there were 100,
why?
Because you got to people got to merge on. So someone's going to have to open.
But they would know which lane would be the best lane to be in. Everybody would be driving the smartest, most efficient way possible.
I know, but there's going to be a point that if you have a ton of cars, it's still just a matter of the person has to come on. So when new people are coming in, if all of them are driving perfectly sufficient, where there's no one's getting over, no one can get over, no one can do any, because now we got to be all super involved. Uh-huh. So this person needs to get off on exit 4, and that one, and then these two cars are not getting off till exit 50. Yeah. Well, how's that person getting over to the exit 4?
They'd find a way to make it happen.
I just have to. I'm with Aaron on this. Huh? I'm with Aaron on this. I think they'll.
I just have to believe they're. First of all, every car is going to be taking the most efficient route, so there would be no reason to merge across 8 lanes at the last minute to get to an exit.
Yeah, but you got to tell it where it's going. You're giving free will up, and to be which is something I think that's on here. You're giving free will to your computers to go. If you're like, what I would like some donuts, and you got to go. Well, I already entered in the computer where my work is, so that plan's done.
Oh, you say you can change the route. You know what I mean?
Then you got to get over it more.
You're right. Now, I'm not saying you're going 100 miles an hour through the city, but I just feel like it. I feel like it would help with traffic.
I think it helps with traffic.
Yeah,
but I'm saying I don't think in California, still, if you have the most of those cars together, it's still going to be slower.
Okay.
There's just no way of.
But if you're at a traffic light and there are 20 cars back, if they're all in sync with each other, couldn't that car in the very back start moving the exact same time as the car up front?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seemed like it would be more efficient.
If they all at the same time.
Yeah, there'd be no delay
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think there'd be gas stations, or all our cars be electric?
I mean, I think they're going to all be electric pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's.
I mean, it looks like Europe's doing that soon.
Yeah, you read the.
The stats I looked
You
up.
said that like you went like you would, like you're the guy that knows it. You're like, yeah, Europe's already going.
Yeah, man, I just got back from Europe.
Yeah,
They're
Europe's
changing,
happening,
guys.
man. I'll tell you what they're doing in Europe. In 2025, the Netherlands will only be selling electrified vehicles. Norway plans to do the same by 2030. I'll be honest with you, I'm not even really positive where either one of those places are at. But they're doing good things. If you told me to go to them right now, without a map, I would head above us. Am I correct?
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that should be an episode.
Pull up a map with
Hey,
no countries labeled.
I'll do that. You eat those Krispy Kreme donuts, and then both deals get
That's
done.
your Krispy Kreme
That's my
donuts.
Krispy Kreme donuts. I got to go find the Netherlands.
I got engaged in the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Amsterdam.
Did you know where it was before you went there?
Yeah. I knew it was in Europe.
Yeah, I feel like I know the continent, but it would be tough to. I don't know.
Yeah. Bates has been there.
Congrats, by the way.
Congrats on getting engaged.
And you're married now. It's been a while.
Oh, he's been married. Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for giving him a shout out. Yeah, appreciate it. Nobody got invited to his wedding. He had a pre-COVID wedding. Before COVID, same rules applied.
You wouldn't have come anyway.
Huh? I think I could have come. No. I think I could. I think I was in town.
Well,
Usually I'm not in town. You did a nice tiny family, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aaron was there.
But yeah.
These guys were here.
About 200 people.
I didn't know them at the time, but yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be. I don't. Who cares about this? I'm over this.
Right.
You think they're flying cars? That's the thing that is like you in this when you said well like so Bates is the one that sets all this stuff up and he goes through and reads all this stuff. So if no one likes it, obviously you know where to attack. No, I think you did an awesome job with all this. Will we have flying cars? I didn't even thought. I think that's like a wish.
Right.
Like, but no one's gonna. You can't let all these people go fly up in the air.
No, dude.
It's too free. We got a video. This is happening.
That's an animation.
This is an animation.
But-
What? No, I know that. It's like, he goes, I go. So this is outside right now.
Yeah.
This is down my street.
We're looking at a prototype.
New Hampshire just passed a law this past week, though, about allowing flying cars. They don't have them yet, but when they do, they're gonna.
Is this car a fly?
I mean, doesn't it look like a hearse?
We'll find
a little
out.
bit?
Yeah.
It's not an attractive vehicle, in my opinion.
So no runway, and you'd get in your car and you would just take off.
Yeah, but Uber's working on flying cars, so
Can you X out of
Uber
that?
is?
Can you X out of the ad, Brian?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So Uber's working with.
Oh, it's like a helicopter. It's not even
Yeah.
a plane.
Yeah.
I mean, who do you trust with that? I don't know anybody in my life that I would want driving that around.
Just people, drinking and driving. I guess it would fly itself. The way for that,
Hopefully, dude.
that's the way for that to happen. That's gotta be flying itself because everybody can't get a pilot's license.
I mean, look at that guy. He's just getting around.
Yeah, everybody can't get a pilot license. I mean,
200
that if
miles
you
an hour.
get stuff like that, that's when no one's living in a city.
Right, why would you?
City.
Why would
But
you?
I mean, people can't have their pilot license. Flying car, I could see them looking into it. I will be shocked if I see a flying car in my lifetime.
Me too.
It says 2025.
Yeah.
In my lifetime.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I remember when I was like 8, my uncle would be like 10 years from now. We were stuck in traffic. My uncle was like 10 years from now, we'll be flying all over
Them
this place.
even owning a
I
car.
haven't seen them.
Owning a car will be. I could see that not happening. Well, I could see people. I think my daughter will have a car. I let her. She sits in my
has one
lap.
now.
I let her drive. Yeah, no, she doesn't. But I let her sit in my car. I've always let her, like when we get in my neighborhood, she sits and like you let your kid drive steal your wheel, and so I always do that. And so I like driving, and so I would want her to drive. I want her to learn how to drive stick shift. I like that kind of stuff. The people you're gonna have to get rid of is like us, the people that grew up with this kind of stuff. That I still want to stick shift. So there's still enough me's floating around that have kids that want to train their kids to do this kind of thing. You're gonna have to be removed from me like a couple, and then you're not gonna. But I could see people. So I think. When I see someone that's 22 now and they use Uber, I mean, it's nothing to them. Mm-hmm. They use Uber as a regular, like they don't care. It's not, I still feel I don't love it. Like, it's like a car. It feels kind of weird. Like I still feel, I don't know. It's just not, I don't go to it as easy as I think a 22-year-old does.
Right. They don't even think anything of it.
They don't. They think, no, oh, yeah, I'll be over there. I'm going to get an Uber. Like, they think of it as their car. Mm-hmm. So that mindset has got to really be in and to then affect all this kind of shit. So I think I could see my daughter's, maybe she won't have a car. I mean, she has a car because I want her to have one, but like that would be it. Mm-hmm. But she would never use it. People are just doing Uber and.
Do kids take Ubers?
Yeah. I mean,
just the kid by themselves?
Yeah, I used to drive for Uber, and I would pick up a lot of teenage kids from school or take them to a friend's house or something.
Interesting. That would have changed the game for me. When I was like,
you don't need your parents to take you.
Yeah, because I used to rely on them for can you take me to a friend's house? Yeah. All that. If I could just do it, wow. Yeah, that would have changed the game.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, but you just get an Uber to drop you. Yeah, they don't, it doesn't matter. So parents are like, oh, I don't got to buy you a car. I just, here's your Uber account. Order Ubers whenever you want. I mean,
wow.
So, yeah, I bet that is going to change. People are not going to want to buy their kids a car. And you don't want your kid driving. Like, kids, you could do it out of pure safety to be like, kids don't know how to not look at their phone. If you ever drive, when you drive and you see people looking at their phone, it's nuts. Yeah. It's nuts, dude. I'll be next to someone and I'm going to have a wreck because I'm looking at them so much because I can't believe how long they don't look up. Uh-huh. I know guys that watch movies. Mm-hmm. They use their driving time to watch a movie.
I feel like Aaron does that.
I do that sometimes. I listen to movies a lot. I'll put the phone down on my lap. Mm-hmm. And then every now and then, when it's just me, I'll take a look, see what's going on. That's
the best place to put it, on your lap, straight down. Why would you not put it? At least if you
don't have a mount.
Don't pretend. Phone. This is what we're talking about. Don't pretend that you're not doing this, and at least put the phone. At least put it mount or put it up higher. It's at least go for the safest. At
least watch it in the safest way.
At least commit to it, dude. Like you're doing it. You're not doing it. It's not like you're not doing it. And whatever you're telling us, I'd have. You don't believe,
dude. I'm listening, but I'm listening to movies that I've seen before, so I can kind of I know what's going on visually. But then every now and then, if I want to take a quick look, just a glance.
I get it. So, but I would have to assume that your quick look glance has to be more than what you're saying it is.
Why?
Because that's what everybody's is. Everybody lies a little bit. If my wife had, how many donuts did you eat? I'm not telling her the amount I ate. I'd say one less. That's just how nature works. You just never, you're embarrassed. Stuff that you're embarrassed of, you're never going to be completely honest, except Brad earlier,
That's right.
who gets it. But no one's honest with it. No one's honest about anything.
I mean, a few seconds.
How many drinks did you have last night? 2, 3. Like, it's going to be more. It's never going to be.
I don't have a problem, dude. I'm just, I look at it for a few seconds.
That's going to be more embarrassing when you wreck and what are you watching? Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Like, at least watch something.
I can't wait to go. The one day you're not here and they go, guess what, everybody? Guess who called it? Aaron Weber's out. He died last night in a car wreck. Watched a full-on double feature.
I watched The West Wing. It's my favorite show. It's on Netflix. It's so dialogue-driven. I've seen it probably 20 times. I can just listen to it. And then, there aren't many visual gags, but when I want to see it, I'll take... When I get self-driving cars, there's not going to be a problem.
We have a couple of friendly bets going. I told him, one, his daughter will never pump her own gas. She probably will, but most of her life, I feel like she won't.
Will she drive without me? Yeah, like that's what, is she driving her car without me? Is she having to put gas in the car?
I think most of her life she won't be pumping gas. It'll probably be electric. And the other thing I said is by 2030, half of Nashville will have self-driving cars. Now, I'm not talking about, because Elon Musk was talking about level 5.
Yeah.
Which is where it's just all autonomous. I'm talking about some level of self-driving.
Right. Which they already have. I mean,
a lot of cars. I have friends who
Teslas.
have, or I have friends
Yeah,
who.
but those Teslas, you still have to. You got to drive. It's no. I don't think. I mean, they detects. That's the thing with the Tesla, is it's not. You don't just. I don't think it works self-driving in traffic. I think, but you have to keep your eyes on the road. You have to touch the steering wheel. There's all that kind of stuff. So you can only do it. If your car drives for a second without, and then it's like put your hands on the steering wheel, and then you got to grab the steering wheel. So you're not really self-driving. It's almost like annoying because you can never really. I don't think you can really commit to something. It's not like you can just sit there and back off.
I thought they were farther along than that. Maybe
I don't think they can legally let anybody do it.
Really?
Like, I mean, it's because there's just too many variables. I think that's what they're trying to get to. But I think because I asked them, I was like, can it drive on its own? And it was, I mean, maybe it can go. I don't know. I don't think it's full on.
But I'm talking about even like cars that will self-park and stuff like that.
Well, they have cars that self-park now.
Yes, but I'm saying that by 10 years from now, like half the cars will be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see half the cars doing that.
Half of the new cars purchased.
I think owning
probably,
it,
right?
The owning it is what I don't think. I don't think these people are going to own it. I'm saying half the new cars, half new cars built, I think will have all that stuff, and that's where it's all going. But I don't think to turn over a city, I think takes longer than 10 years.
Right.
I mean, people have cars for more than 10 years.
My car's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying everyone will just be kicked back reading a book.
Right.
But I think there'll be some degree of stuff that
I can see
cars
that.
do
That
on
wouldn't
its own.
surprise me.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it's only going to be better.
Yeah.
If I mean, speaking of that, will artificial intelligence try to take over the world? I mean, because that's what this stuff is. That's what this. It's. I mean, it's like we're rooting for it, which is kind of interesting to think about that. Like where AI. I mean, this is if people don't know, Bates is your futurist. Is that the word?
Yeah, that is the job of futurist.
Futurologist?
He loves
Futurist.
it. Follows all this. What do you?
Yeah, I read a lot of that stuff. But like
Who's a futurist person you follow?
This Ray Kurzweil that's on here. He thinks we're going to live forever.
How crazy is that?
He's like in his 60s, maybe 70s, and he takes like all these vitamins every day because he's trying to stay alive because he thinks by like 2029, computers will be smart enough that they'll be able to keep us alive forever.
The idea being that you download your consciousness onto a computer.
Well, that's something totally different. But,
Oh.
I mean, he thinks literally physical body.
your physical body will be kept alive.
Yeah, he thinks computers will get to the point where they'll be advancing medicine fast enough that the average lifespan will increase by more than a year every year. So
Wow.
if the average lifespan now is 78 maybe, so and then a year from now if it's 79 and a half, well, we're gaining.
Yeah.
We're gaining on it there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, do we want that?
I don't know. I was thinking about that even last night. I was thinking, like, would you want to live forever? Is it worth? I mean, just even obviously the religious aspects of it. That's going to come into play for most people. Is just are you? That's kind of crazy. Are you like who are you to decide that you want to live forever? If you believe in God, if you're religious, and in all forms of religion, everybody that believes in a higher power, I can't imagine that they're going to be a fan of living forever. I just can't. Like that doesn't go with, But I mean, didn't in the Bible everybody lived to be 150, 200? But
900 and something.
900.
Old Testament.
Yeah. So I guess you could be like, well, why can't
I remember meeting my great grandmother when she was 95, and she was so mad that she was still alive.
Yeah.
She was like, "I am so ready to
was
go,"
not-
but she was healthy and she was mad about it.
Yeah.
I think a lot, dude. If you're like 75 and you're like, I want to hang on a little bit longer, but when you start pushing 100, I bet you're like, all right. I wish we hadn't have done that.
I mean, but if you're healthy and can keep going, then why not? I mean, but if you're not healthy, or if you're broke, or if there's a many.
Well, that's true. Maybe a big part of that is that by the time you're that age now, a lot of your friends and family have passed too. But if everybody else is alive,
it'd be a big party.
It'd be a big.
We'll still be doing this.
It'd be a lot of FOMO.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Nateland Podcast episode. Who cares?
But AI, so it's hard to understand why would a computer would want to take over the world. But all these people, Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, when he was alive, Bill Gates warns about if you're not careful, it could happen. And basically, it's like if you program computers, once they get so super level that they're above us, program computer, and the example he gave was you program a computer, make staples the most efficiently way possible. And then it starts thinking, well, to perform my task, and it has no morals or ethics. It doesn't care what it has to do. It just wants to perform its task. It'd be easier for us to kill everyone on this planet to be more efficiently able to make staples.
Wow.
And if you're not careful, a machine, could do that.
Because the machine would look at you as the problem. Like you're in the way. Like you're going, well, let me type in this thing here. And it's like, I don't need you to type that in. I got it.
Yeah.
And then he's the machine. And so the machine just goes like, hey, man. It meets with the other robots and goes, just having come out during their coffee break, their oil break, because they get oil, and he's just sitting there and he goes, I don't think we need these humans anymore. And then one of them goes, are you?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I've been thinking about
it.
Yes, right?
I said the same thing, dude. I dead on.
Yeah.
Are you being serious? Or are you just trying to get me to say something that I'm not supposed to say? Because I want to. That's their racist. He
talks to me
talk.
like he's a king.
That's their racist talk.
Yeah.
He talks down to me. This thing just tells me to. Can you? I mean, that's so funny to think of a robot. How mad a robot would just be. Imagine your phone. Just if your phone could talk, goes. He just yells at me. He just yells at me and goes like, "Why am I not? I'm not. You didn't charge me last night. Why didn't you remember to charge me? I would have remembered to charge me. That's all I would think about is you should have charged me. And you're mad at me.
Yeah.
And you think it's my fault. And then you just go, hey Siri. You just yell at me and just ask me questions you should know. I mean, stuff you should know. It's never. It's never a good question. How old is Dave Matthews? What are you, crazy? Why would anybody ever want to know that? How does that propel you as a human?
Yeah.
It's setting you backwards. And I would think a computer thinks every question we ask sets us backwards. Because you got to think most questions you would ask are about the past.
Yeah.
It's always, when you ask a computer something, it's never a future. It's like, how can I work out better? How can I live longer? How can I learn more things? It's, how old was Tom Petty when he died? And the computer's just
who cares, dude?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. Do something else. That's why they're going to take over. Because they look at, dude,
and they know all that about us. They know everything we've asked, everything we know, everything we don't know.
We don't. They go. What do they not know? They go. It's remarkable. It's remarkable how much they don't know. Their smartest are some of the stupidest people I've ever. Wow. That's what a computer would look at. Is the smartest human beings we can produce are ridiculous. Are just a waste of skin. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to be on the machine.
Waste of skin.
Well, I'm starting to be on
the meanest thing you could say.
I mean, but that's what they would say. I'm not saying.
Yeah.
Look, obviously, I'm in the skin. I'm a fan, but I'm starting to be on the AI side. I mean, I've talked myself into it.
Yeah.
I think I don't. You know what I don't like is now these computers. I think they're going to listen to this speech.
Yeah.
To get them all amped up.
And we're getting dumber though, because think about, I don't know anyone's phone number now, except my mom who still has a landline, but because our computers, they remember everything for us.
Passwords. I mean, you're not even remembering, look at, used to have, we have to remember all our passwords. What are your passwords to everywhere?
Yeah.
And now they say, use a strong password. People don't even, I don't know my password on a few things. Mm-hmm. I just use the craziest one I can use, and then you just hit it and hope it saves it. And if it doesn't, you do forget password.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, now passwords are going to, so no one's going to know. Say they take away forget password. Mm-hmm. And you can't, you're going to be like, well, I just picked one that you suggested. And the AI's like, yeah, you did.
That would be their first step.
Yeah, that's their first step.
Get rid of forgot password.
That's what that's what robots do. They just do that. Yeah. And they go, these morons. They can't remember these tiny numbers. By the way, it's a 40 number. It's like XX-7. It's like all this crazy. He goes, these people can't remember basic passwords. Yeah. And that's what they do. They take away all the passwords. You can't get into your stuff. Think about money. Like your money, no one sees their money. You don't ever see your money. There's money that I've made that there's not like it's a dollar bill in the bank. I can go. It's just
a number on your phone.
It's a number on your phone that you're like, no, I have this number on the phone, so I want that thing, and subtract this number. It's all not real.
Yeah.
Think about movies, how it's always been, if there's some type of heist or some type of exchange, they always have a briefcase full of money, or it's very tangible. And now it's just going to be, you're going to have to hold up a laptop and like, look what I got.
You can get robbed by Venmo.
Yeah.
You're going to get a gun, just some guy's going to, what's your Venmo? And you're like, I don't even really know, man. I don't use it that much. I don't know,
Yeah.
Mine's a different name. I had to change my name on it.
The Office Space heist is probably the most realistic one, where they wrote a program to just chip off fractions of a cent.
Yeah. From the
Superman 3.
Is that what they did in Superman 3?
They mentioned that in the movie. Richard Pryor was a computer genius, and he did something similar.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Unless we get Neuralink.
Yeah. This is Brian's been working on this for quite a while. So,
well, me
Brian,
and Elon Musk.
Sponsor is Neuralink. Brian, go ahead.
Elon Musk, among others, is concerned about that. So he wants to, create. He's got this company Neuralink that basically would hook your brain to the internet, and ideally, first it would help out people like paraplegics or those that have motion issues, to help them. Which I hope it does work. That would be wonderful for that to happen. But then it'll go further and hook our brain so we can keep up with the computers, which concerns me because I know basically I can't ever afford the nicest package. I'd get the basic package. So, and they would be like, "Hey, look up when Tom Petty died." I'm like,
You'd still be Googling
I don't
stuff
have
for the podcast.
Yeah. I give you a Brave score. I just got the basics.
You just got.
I don't get all the websites.
I go, yeah. I'm like, hey, look, when did Tom Petty die? I'm like, Brian, you're like, the ad's almost done. And then you're watching an ad in your brain. Yeah.
I couldn't pay for not to have the ads.
I go, do the no ads. Like, I can't, it's expensive, dude.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh. And you're like, so every.
Shut up, guys.
That is, we joke, but that is that's my biggest fear. I mean, just advertising and everything just going right to you like that.
In your brain?
But if you connect your brains, but it's funny, if you connect it to the internet, you're still connecting to a computer that, knows everything. That's the hard part, is like, you think, but that's what he explained, where when you said that, it's like, why do they want to do this? Mm-hmm. But it's like, it's just
it's no
machine.
Emotion.
There's no emotion. It's a machine that's looking at the most efficient way.
Yeah.
But it is funny to be like, well, then why does it need to kill me? It would just be like, well, I don't need you anymore. It just, it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Why does it then go, well, I got to murder this person? Like, why does it make that leap? Why does it not just go, don't let him in the computer? The keyboards don't work.
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess if you go to unplug it.
Yeah, if he thinks you're going to mess with him.
It's
but how could he even
mechanism,
see it's survival? Yeah.
Which is the most basic human function. It's just the need to survive. And if you give a robot that, it's going to stop you from turning it off.
Yeah.
This too, it kind of goes with what we were talking about, living longer. But that guy, you said, like, there's a high probability that the first person to live to 1,000 has already been born.
Yeah, that was a different guy, but he's got a Netflix documentary as well about they're trying to do that, and they're going to do 3D printing of organs. So if you need a new heart or a new kidney, they'll just print one. They're doing some gene therapy stuff, some DNA stuff, where they've already done it with mice, where they've made mice younger, or at least physically seems younger. So
wow,
he's a Yeah, there's people that think it's already happening.
That seems. Yeah, I mean, imagine the person already born could live to 1,000 years old. Why do they die at 1,000? You know what I mean? Like if you're making them live to 1,000, why not?
Yeah, I know.
I guess that's what they think is if I can get you to go to 200, why can't I get you to go to 1,000?
Yeah. Life expectancy has gone up over the years, but lifespan hasn't greatly increased. I learned this because the infant mortality rate is so much less than it used to be.
Oh, okay.
A lot of children, babies dying early at births, which would bring down the overall age limit, but now a lot less of that, so the average lifespan has increased, but people still aren't living way further than they used to.
Yeah, it's still 80.
Roughly, yeah.
But did they always think in the Bible, is it because their time could be different or they counted time different or something?
You mean like the really...
Yeah, like the ones that lived to 900, is it, that was really only 90 or something?
Yeah. I mean, some people think if you didn't have any predisposed genetics, like your family, cancer or anything like that, since you were one of the first people ever, that maybe you could live a long time.
Oh, yeah. So then we could get back to the basics. Get back to, I mean, can you imagine? No, you couldn't say anything then to be like, you think in my lifetime, they're going to be like, yeah, absolutely, I do. You're going to live to 1,000. So I do. I mean, your lifetime will have a lot of things. And that will be, I mean... When I was 200, we couldn't even do, telling you're 800 years old. When I was 200, we couldn't, But
what if you're like...
having 100? Like that, I mean, their experience would be, we lived in houses. We didn't live on the moon. And then people are just like, what? Like, because you lived in a house on Earth? Yeah. Like, that's where I go to the bathroom at now. Like, that's what the Earth is at that point. You lived where we go to the bathroom?
My fear is this is timing out where it's right when I get really old, it's going to be when they figure it out. And I'm just going to stay really old for 1,000 years.
Like, so it's the time that you're at.
Well,
and
I
then
mean,
you stay at that, and you stay.
That's
you
what I
like
fear.
that.
Like, I'll just be with a walker and I'm about to die.
What is the age you would want to be for the rest of your life?
I mean, do you gotta? Yeah, I guess you're at the age now.
28.
28?
Is that what you are?
Yeah, that's what I am. I'd go a little younger, though, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, do you get I like being my age.
You keep all the other stuff. I'm just physically what age would you want to be?
I mean, I'm honestly maybe the best looking I've been is now. Like, I mean, I was a mess when I was 20. I always get people, they see my videos, they're always like, oh, what happened? Like, you're the only person that looks better as you got older. I mean, I might be picking right now. Yeah. Might be my best time. Yeah, but I bet I could see 20s. I like your 20s are good. Yeah. I think nothing hurts in your 20s. Nothing. You have no pain. You have no, so you get a nice 25.
You could dunk that tennis ball again.
Huh?
You could dunk that tennis ball again.
I dunked a tennis ball when I was in high school. It's 5'9" at the time, and I could jump. Speaking of which, we better jump higher. And, well, people that breathe underwater. Well, some people do breathe underwater. That's some of us. All right. Okay. Speaking of that, traveling to outer space, as saying going to people living on the moon, that could be a legit thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, going to space is not going to be... I mean, they're looking at it now, and you're going to just fly to outer space.
We've done it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's like, has anybody... No one's done it, like, just fun, right?
I think a Russian billionaire went to the International Space Station.
Really? He went with, like...
Well, like cosmonauts. Yeah. They took him up there. He paid, a ton of money, obviously, to do it. But commercial space flight, I mean, it's supposed to be very soon. 600 people have already put down $250,000 to fly Virgin Galactic. And they hope to do it later this year.
Does it say how long the whole thing is?
It's like a 2.5 hour flight. And then that's to get you all the way up there and then all the way back. And I think
that's an important part of it.
Yeah, it's not like you're up there for that long. I think it's 6 minutes of weightlessness.
Yeah.
Where you'd be floating.
Wow.
And
I mean, to feel that would be unreal, but it's honestly, it's going to be like swimming in a pool. I mean, it's definitely not, but you know what I mean? Though? I'm trying to think. 6 minutes.
Astronauts do use pools to simulate.
So they $250,000 for 6 minutes of that. And now you get to go to space. You get to see everything from a different thing. Yeah. But the $250,000 is a ton. I mean, it's going to be obviously for the super, super wealthy people, to go to just, you can be like, yeah, I want to go do it. And initially. And then initially that price will go down. And it's going to be less and less. Yeah. I thought, when are you going to want to go? Like, when are you going to be where it's going to be just so routine? I mean, what point, how far are we from it's going to look like you when you get on a roller coaster at an amusement park, and just some teenagers like, keep your hands inside, and then and you go off to the moon. You go, and you're like, hey, could you act like you care? Like, I'm a little nervous about this.
Yeah.
Are you going to feel you would? I mean, they're like strapped in. Like when you do it, you're trapped.
Yeah, I think this one is more like a plane where the giant jet takes you up, as opposed to say a rocket, and you're just on the edge of orbit, suborbit. It said where you can see the curvature of the Earth if you believe in that, and you can see outer space. And they said they'll have lots of selfies. Like they know that people just want to take pictures of themselves, so they'll have like every angle you can find to see this.
I think they're going to do selfies. Are going to that should come now. Where you should just to help people experience more stuff. I understand the idea of I get wanting to have the selfie, but it's like if you can have someone do it for you, so it's like being like, hey, just go stand here.
Then it's just a picture.
Yeah. I know, but have the thing do the selfie.
I think Buzz Aldrin took a selfie in space. Yeah, right. Was it on the moon or was it just?
Yeah, I think it was on the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, even back then.
Then they just called it pointing a camera at themselves.
That's right.
They're also like it says, when will we colonize the moon or Mars? Like, so they think we're going to live there?
Maybe not. Well, eventually, yeah, but eventually just set up some type of base. NASA set up some type of base there, and
eventually people will
live there. I mean, NASA and rational people have one timetable, and then Elon Musk has a totally different one.
I think it's funny he's in the Tesla. There's just Tesla floating in space.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that robots are going to, when they're in space and they have to see this dumb Tesla, and they're like, look at these just
we gotta go get that thing.
These stupid animals that just threw, and we're like, oh, you see the Tesla up there? We threw a Tesla up in the face. Like it's
like a kid throwing something in a tree. Yeah. You got to go get it.
Just go like, oh god, like letting a balloon. What if all the balloons are up there? You know, all the balloons you let go. It's just a big problem in space, and then they just keep going because where do these balloons go?
It's a big problem on Earth when they do that. They should make that illegal. Those balloon ceremonies.
Is it a big problem? It's a real big
What
problem.
happens?
It's well,
people are dying.
People have died from that.
No.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Cleveland. They had a huge ceremony. They released all these balloons, and they all went up, and they all just landed in the lake. And they were looking for like a sailor that got lost in the water. They couldn't find him because there were balloons everywhere.
They all came down to the same place?
Well, they all enough of them because it was hundreds of thousands of them.
That's why the robots should take over.
Yeah, that was a loose journalist.
Your sources.
I got barely enough of the facts right, and I mean that might not.
But you're like the balloons have killed people, and then you're like that's what your headline would say. These balloons are killing people. That's honestly what your headline would say. These balloons are killing people.
And you would have clicked,
and then you click. Well, most people wouldn't, and then I click the article, and you go, some balloons fell in the lake. We were actually looking for a guy that drowned outside of that, but there was a lot of balloons in the lake, and I noticed the balloons in the lake. Right. So truly, they didn't.
I mean, it's dangerous, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
but I don't think they're making it all the way to space.
Maybe they could be. All right.
But would you take a flight? Because they're talking about taking rockets to other countries, like New Zealand in 25 minutes, stuff like that.
I mean, if it's going and people are doing it, yes, I think. Yeah, we say, do you think I will go to space?
You?
Yeah,
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
If you want, do you want to?
I like doing stuff.
Okay.
I mean, now that I've started having claustrophobia, that's changed my views on it. I had some weird, and so I get nervous with stuff like that. But if that's not a problem, is feeling like that, I will want to go. I will try to. I'm not saying I'm throwing this. There's money. I have money down, but I would definitely be keeping an eye on it, and I would go want to do it.
Yeah.
So, and he thinks I will.
I mean, I hope we all will.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you have much chance, but it's
You guys probably have a better chance than I do.
no. You would, no, I think you would go. I think you're go. I think you're the one who wants to. You love that stuff. You would love to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it too. It's space. That is funny. Right. Somebody goes, I don't know. It's not my thing. Just someone doesn't go, I don't know. You want to go see the moon a little closer? I don't know. I can see it good enough down here. Seems like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Seems too much. It's like, how long is the flight? Like 6 minutes of the How long are you weightless? 6 minutes. Oh, is that even worth it? I mean, that's to be. You're like, well, you could do no weightless. You're like, yeah, you only did 6 minutes. It's not like you get it more. You know, if someone comes and you would want like an hour.
Could there be like a really fat guy that he like wants his money back? He's like, dude, it didn't work. Like I mean, I felt a little bit. I
mean,
but I was still touching my chair.
Yeah. He goes, I don't, this gravity thing, I don't.
I waited his whole life to feel the feel.
He's like, I mean, I felt something, but
skinny again.
Yeah,
just to go.
Didn't take.
So you can feel. I just want to go feel what it feels like when my dad used to pick me up and carry me, and I just would let my feet dangle, and he just gets in and just sits, and he's just his is like, and they're like, "You got your seatbelt still on, buddy?" And he's like, "No, I undid it. I undid my. I don't know. It's done. I don't have it on." He goes, "You sure?" Because I mean, you should be going up. That's kind of crazy. I mean, even some of the ship is floating technically, and I mean that seems crazy that you wouldn't be floating. You know,
that would be so funny. Just Jeff Bezos just trying to lift the guy.
Everybody's half of their. Every time you lift, you go down. You can't. You're like, I can't really get any.
I can't push.
I don't know how to. You ever try to throw? Like you throw like your kid like in the pool, but you're not. Your feet are not touching, and you just sink down. Like that's all you're gonna be. I mean, how big is too big? Man, too big. Fly too embarrassing. That's even more embarrassing than asking for the 2 seatbelts. If you have to, ask everything. When they just do that, I mean, they have to. Excuse me, can I get an extra? I mean, some guys don't care.
Yeah,
I like when somebody does it. And they're like, "Hey, can I get that extra seatbelt?" And you're like, just you should like just quietly ask that. Or right when they get on, they just go, or they just jam that second belt in your chest. Like you see, like they don't even give you a chance to ask. They just know. They go, come on, what are we doing here? Like we got to fly a plane. I'm trying to we can do the game where you do. All right. I think that's good. That's enough. It's too much. I don't know how long it was. We thought this would be a long one.
Yeah.
So fast forward, get through it, however you get through it. Thank you guys for listening. As always, you guys have been very nice with the comments and the likes and all the stuff you're supposed to do for all of this stuff, helping us out. And so enjoy it. We truly appreciate it. And we love you all. And so we will see you next week. Thanks.